I came into this class knowing there was one question I needed to find answers for, and that was, how do I fix the education system on the Thon Nation? In the past, I often talk about how as a school board member at Bobby Kiever Unified, we successfully fixed our school system. But we missed a huge opportunity. We failed to indigenize that system. Now, before I go into great detail, the truth is that when I started this project, I went out and interviewed all kinds of amazing educators and received some great feedback, and I felt like I had all the answers. I felt like this is the path I'm going to take. This is how we fix education systems. Then about a week ago, I had one of the most amazing conversations that took everything I came up with and completely turned it upside down. Nothing negative, just a number of things I had never considered before. When we spoke about the challenges to fixing Bobby Kiever Unified, they said, that's a whole dissertation in itself. You fixed the school system using the tools they provided you, but at what point could you have indigenized that school system? And the truth was that the option was never there. The options to create a quality education system have never been there. And if there is one thing we know, our Native American students are struggling. Every year that the statistics from the National Assessment of Educational Progress come out regarding Native American children, we see the same graph that shows we have flatlined and that we are still at the bottom of all students across this country. So think about that. The tools they provide us to fix our education systems come from the very same system that has never allowed us to succeed. If we delve back into our history of Indian education, it's a very dark and bleak past. We talk about assimilation like it happened all those years ago, like that chapter has been closed, but think about this. If our schools are at the bottom and your students are struggling academically, and the only tools they provide you to fix that broken system are the same tools that created that broken system. And somehow our students are supposed to rise like a phoenix out of those ashes and soar to a successful future. And the thing is, some of our students do, but many do not. So how do we fix our education systems as a sovereign tribal nation? It begins with a lot of courageous conversations, and sovereignty plays a huge role, but in order to utilize that sovereignty, we have to know what it means, like truly know what it means, and how it could impact our education systems. Imagine creating schools that value your indigenous ways of knowing, respect and utilize your indigenous epistemologies. Maybe our schools allow time in our day to develop our traditional practices in medicine, agriculture, construction, to name a few. Whether it's curriculum or even education standards that we create to build this new system, let it all tie back to the land. When we talk about that dark past with education, what the government did to our children was intentional. There was a reason why they took our kids away from the land and from their people. Those connections were strong, and by cutting those connections apart, maybe they thought it would destroy us forever. In some cases, it did. But for some, they returned. They battled the elements and fought their way home. To this day, Indigenous people all across this country continue to fight for their land. Not to make money off of it, but to protect it. Protect it for the future generations of our people. So in order for us to succeed, we need to reestablish those ties back to the land, back to our language, back to our traditional practices, and most importantly, back to each other. I wish I could have provided you with a true play-by-play of what it would take to fix our education system. But the truth is that I'm not ready to answer that question just yet. The funny thing is that these two scholars I spoke with gave me a long list of books I need to read, from Cordova, Deloria Jr., Cajete, and many others. So I will continue to read, continue to talk to Indigenous scholars, and continue to think about creating an education system that one day could be replicated by all tribal nations. For now, I feel I'm on the right path, and maybe graduate school will be in my own future.